And so let's jump right into that main event. You're going to have to school me a little bit on this one because honestly, I don't know a lot about these guys. And reading up about it, you got the Wonder Boy, Stephen Thompson. He's sporting that 15-4-1 record. He hasn't fought in a year. And in that, he beat Vicente Luque, I believe. And prior to that, he had some tough losses to Pettis and to Darren Till. He did beat Masvidal years ago in decision. And it does look like he's looking to become that number one contender. Geoff Neal on the flip side rocks that 13-2-0 record. That's 5-0 in the UFC. He did win in Dana White Contender Series. He most recently knocked out Mike Perry. I believe he knocked out Muhammad, who we were supposed to see earlier in the card, but that one got scrapped. And so, give me a little bit more on this one.
Yeah, for sure. So, think of going back to, our line about Anthony Pettis. What? He Superman punched Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. What? It's little things like that are still getting me really curious about that Anthony Pettis line. But, let's take a look at this. Geoff Neal, who lost to our boy Kevin Holland right back in the day, this man can throw. He can throw for days. He's accurate. He's very strong. I love the power punching, and I love the combinations. He does not take his eyes off your chin. It's very obvious when he smells blood, he knows to go for it. If you look at the way he ended Mike Perry, it very much, Mike Perry's the kind of guy that if he can breathe, he's going to try to stand, right? So, head kick landed, might have been partially blocked, but then you kind of see him just start filling him with a few punches. And Perry tries to do the Perry thing of eating him more of a crash test dummy than anything and keeping his hands up, but he just kept getting backed up more and more into the fence and just boom, 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 to the point where, referee has to stop it. The thing that I have to look at his record, right? So you look at Mike Perry, you look at Nico Price, you look at Bilal Muhammad, you look at Frank Camacho and Brian Camozzi. These are, leading out from his Dana White Contender Series in 2017 when, with Brian Camozzi, with Chase Walden, he then goes on this huge, UFC string of wins from Brian Camozzi on. What I don't like about them is if you look at these guys, Nico Price, we saw him fight Donald Cerrone, if you remember. That's not the most technical striker. He's got some good power. He can definitely throw, but he eats a lot of punches. Bilal Muhammad, always ready to game, but again, eats a lot of punches. Always coming out bloody from his fights, but he can still win fights. Frank Camacho, my heart goes out to him. Dude has definitely been a bit of a, crash test dummy himself over the last little bit, and he got beat up. The Camozzi brothers, I just don't see a lot of overall skill. They came in as submission fighters for the most part, and that was his kind of UFC debut, and he got a win there. So you're basically telling me toughest competition for the most part is Mike Perry at this level, or most recently, and finished in the first round. Stephen Thompson wipes the floor with every single fighter I just named. That is nothing against any of those fighters. Stephen Thompson, I think we talked about this kind of off the air, if you will, but he is one of the most accurate when it comes to technical striking, right? He's not looking to blitz you. He's not looking to throw a bunch of random power strikes at you. He's trying to get these kicks in. He's trying to get these jabs in and set them up for a couple other power punches. He's really trying to outstrike you and outpoint you. He's a kickboxer by trade, Taekwondo trained by his dad, I believe. And it's funny, right? The UFC event I covered, UFC 165 out in Toronto, the Gustafsson-Jones fight, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson was actually on the prelim cards. That was his come up. And so I got to see him fight live at that time. And it was such a good fight. He's just such a good technical striker. And if you look at his last fights, Tyrone Woodley, who's having a bit of a tough time dealing with what we would call this, new age welterweight division, he was afraid to really get in there with Thompson because you just don't know what he's going to throw at you. Woodley's got the power punches, but it looked like Steve Wonderboy was at least willing to be okay, well, I think I can take them. And he was trying to – it was one of the most boring fights of all time. But it's just one of those things where you at least take in what they're doing right and wrong, The first fight was a draw between Woodley and Thompson. And then he ended up losing a majority decision to Woodley after that. So then you talked about that Masvidal fight was a really good one because that was a huge come up. And I actually thought Masvidal might have a chance there. But again, we're talking about where the technical striking versus the brawler came into play. And it's how even Masvidal has gotten away with some of his wins is because he's the more technical striking comparison to some of these other guys. So now you're getting into Darren Till's, took that loss. Darren Till's a really, really big welterweight. So a guy that's like primarily designed for middleweight, he had good size for that weight class. And so I can see that loss happening. The only one that is always a little concerning for me is the Anthony Pettis one. But that's what I'm saying. Anthony Pettis is creative. He's different. He fights different. He sees things different, especially when it comes to openings, willing to put his body on the line in terms of, he takes a lot of body shots. He doesn't really like them, but he leaves his body open to land his own kind of craziness. Thompson isn't like that. Thompson will defend. Thompson has that fighter mentality of, I like to get hit less and then try to hit more. Whereas some guys are like, come at me, dog. I'm going to land 20 even if you land 10, blah, blah, blah. That's just not how Thompson fights. And so that's where I feel, if Neal tries to rush in too much, if he tries to be overly powerful, Thompson will be ready for that. And the big thing about this is because it's a 5-round fight, you just want to be careful about your cardio. Thompson has pretty much only been in 5-round fights for the most part till maybe his most recent fights, which he has obviously done fairly well in as well. You know what I mean? So that's what I kind of just advice in terms of dealing with a guy like Thompson. You just want to have your wits about you come rounds 4 and 5 because he's not going to tire himself out throwing too much. He's very aware of how he's approaching a 5-round fight because he's done it so much to try and win a title.
And these are the types of fighters that we kind of look for when capping these is, where's your cardio? Can you go the distance? If that knockout doesn't happen in the first 2 rounds, what's going to happen those final 3? So kind of diving into that, who do you see as the favorite in this one?
Yeah, so it's funny because I kept trying to go off hype or off of name or off of, just overall record. And, it's funny, but I still can't see either of these guys being a huge favorite. And it's funny, Stephen Thompson, in my mind, if I saw him as a -300 favorite, it wouldn't even throw me off. It really would not. But I just don't see it. And so that's where I would go with Stephen Thompson as a favorite. And I have to go with maybe a -180, -170. Let's go with -175 favorite in Stephen Thompson.
Yeah, so this was a bit of a loaded question because there actually is no favorite in this one. It is a straight pick 'em, -110 on both sides. But, kind of given your analysis there, I got to give the advantage to Thompson here for his ability to try and win this in the later rounds when we know Geoff Neal is going to be tired.
And Geoff Neal has power. He has combinations. He has the push forward. That's the only thing that really kind of throws me off in the first couple rounds, right? Like that's where if he's trying to really get Thompson off of his game, don't let him figure you out for the first 2 to 3 rounds and then steal the fight for the last 3 to 4 rounds. That's what you don't want. You don't want him getting a feeling out pace because the moment he starts to gauge your timing, your speed, your footwork, your combinations, he's going to be able to counter you for the rest of the fight. So the more you're able to throw at him, even if it's like switching levels and trying to get takedowns or at least just pushing him against the fence to just slow him down and not giving him that distance to work with, because that's all that Thompson needs. He needs that distance for his legs. He needs that ability to spread out and get that footwork and get those strikes going. That's what he's going to be looking for early on. So throw him off that game, you might have a better chance of coming away with that W.
Yeah, absolutely. So stay locked in for that one. We'll probably kind of lock that one in closer to the main event, seeing the weigh-ins, hype, all that kind of stuff. But overall, it's going to be a great card. Tune in, UFC this Saturday, December 19th. For us, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that bell button, give us a follow on Instagram, Twitter. Our picks go up all of there, along with all of our other content. Clips of our videos from YouTube. Other great MMA content is on the Kaizen MMA. Make sure you check it all out. Give us a follow. Give us a subscribe. Give us a comment. Engage in conversation. Whatever you may want to do to kind of further this. Anything else, Siraj?
No, man. Everything. You just hit nail on the head. Like, let's finish the year strong. This is the last fight card for us. We're going to be going real hard at this one. Just have some fun with it. We're really excited for the next couple of weeks to be able to develop, our niche, our, market. It's going to be really fun for us. And so we're really excited for 2021. And, if we don't really, since we don't have a card, as the vet, the bet, and the casual, happy holidays, happy Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. And we'll see you for the next card. But, maybe we get you some new content in that time. We shall see.
Yeah, perfect. You said it best, man. Happy holidays to everybody. Thank you for all your support. And Siraj, great seeing you as always, man.
You, my boy. I love you. Peace.
Take care.